is First Coast News. Hurricane Matthew after the storm.
Happening right now, Governor Rick Scott is taking a tour of Flagler Beach. About a mile of A1A was ripped apart in the storm, and Governor Scott says that is going to take time and help from the federal government to repair. He added that agencies are working hard to get power back on in Flagler Beach by tonight, but is asking only residents and business owners come to the area because of the damage. Also, Flagler Beach remains closed because of the amount of debris that has washed ashore there. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on First Coast News at noon. I'm Katie Jeffries. Today, Hurricane Matthew victims across Northeast Florida and Southeast Georgia continue to pick up the pieces and try and put their lives back to normal. Right now, residents in Jekyll Island in Georgia are going home after 3 days of not being able to get there.
It's not bad. It's a lot of hype. And everybody gets worked up on the TV and the media. There's probably maybe half a dozen houses here that have trees on them. And ordinarily in a big hurricane, it's that many on one street.
So folks are getting their first glimpses into damage today. Several islands opening back up to residents and businesses, except in Glynn County, Georgia, where there are folks from St. Simon's Island still being told that it's not safe to return, and they're pretty upset about it. First Coast News' Dan Grossman joins us live from St. Simon's Island.
Katie, good afternoon. It's causing a lot of frustration right here in Glynn County. I'm going to step out of the way. And what we have behind us is one of the checkpoints where there's a lot of folks trying to see if they're coming in. They're telling us that they're hearing over the public PA system around here that any business owner is allowed in, but they do have a list, and that list has 50 select names on it, and those are the only folks who are being let in. We'll move here to the left, and you can see some of the folks talking to some of their loved ones, their family members, saying that, you know, we want to get in, we want to assess some of this damage and start to get things underway, but they haven't been able to do that for the last 5 days. We have talked to some who are upset about it, but we've also talked to others who are just saying, you know what, this is just what happens.
It's just life. It happens, right? You know? Awesome. So I would like to get home today. I very much would like to get home today, and I think it will happen.
We spoke with a lot of folks who have been on the island, critical workers, and they're saying some of the biggest damages are down trees, down power lines, and some of the folks from the emergency system around here are saying that's why they're not letting folks on. They want to clear some of this debris, some of this damage before they allow them in. This road right behind us is the road they are trying to access. They're hoping that tomorrow they can start implementing phase 3 and get some of those residents back on the island. Katie?
Thank you, Dan. For many of you, today is the first time you've had power in your home for days after Hurricane Matthew rolled through. More than 100,000 people around the First Coast are still in the dark, and 43 mutual aid crews from Georgia and Texas and Missouri are in the Jacksonville area to help JEA customers deal with outages. JEA hopes to have everyone's power restored by tonight at midnight. And JEA has lifted the precautionary boil water advisory for JEA water customers east of the Intracoastal Waterway. A boil water notice remains in effect, though, for the city of St. Augustine customers on Anastasia Island. In the wake of Hurricane Matthew, most schools around our area are closed today, and some will even stay closed tomorrow. On Tuesday, Flagler and Glynn County schools will stay shut down. St. Johns and Camden counties still have not made a decision about whether they will be open Tuesday, so we'll keep you posted on air and online. Also, a lot of you have asked us when debris cleanup will start. In Nassau, Camden, and St. Johns counties, that pickups will start today, so you can put that debris out on the curb. Putnam County contractors will start on Wednesday. In Duval County, the collection will start as soon as possible. Clay County says its pickups will start on Friday. In Palm Coast, all of the city's service phone lines are down, so if you need assistance with anything such as a utility service, pep tank alarms, or questions about debris pickup, you're asked to call the Emergency Operations Center at the number there on your screen. That's 386-586-5111. St. Augustine was perhaps one of the hardest hit areas after Hurricane Matthew. The St. Francis House homeless shelter had to evacuate, so it is asking for help today. It's asking for donations of trash bags, garden gloves, masks, bleach, cleaning supplies, and towels to try and clean up their property. First Coast News' Danny Spiewak is there.
We're here in St. Johns County at Treasure Beach on Ventura Road, and people the last couple of days coming back from their evacuations, and this is what they're seeing. Enormous trees down in some people's lawns. Some homes were really damaged and had a lot of trouble. Others weren't touched at all. So it was really kind of the luck of the draw, but people are rebuilding in this neighborhood here on this Monday morning, and we'll be continuing to rebuild into the afternoon and for a very long time probably. Sheriff's deputy has been patrolling the area, making sure there's no trouble, no gawkers, sightseers, people causing any sort of trouble. They haven't had any trouble at this point. There is still power out on this specific road, Ventura Road, but some of the neighborhood appears to have their power back. It's kind of sporadic across St. Johns County. So the concern at this point from a lot of people is, you can see like this tree is leaning toward the power line. So the property owner here is telling us that she's worried it's going to come down on that line at some point, so they may have to get a tree removal service to try to figure that out. So right now, people just trying to get back and rebuild as they're trickling back into the neighborhood, trying to kind of band together to clean up as best they can here. Reporting at Treasure Beach, Danny Spiewak, First Coast News.
Thank you, Danny. We've got meteorologist Lauren Rautenkrantz here. And after this rolled through, it just seemed like the skies opened up and the weather now has been just beautiful.
Yeah, I know. And it's a weird feeling because for those folks that maybe don't have the damage, they think, oh, it never happened. But of course, it is real. And it's kind of a blessing for those who do have the damage because they're getting a bit of a break. You know, it's nice to be outside. It is windy, although. So we do want to really remind people that we're going to be dealing with some of these after effects of Matthew as far as flooding is concerned with those very breezy northeast winds. Also for folks along the St. Johns River, we're going to continue to see higher than normal tides, and also that's because we're approaching a full moon for October 16th. That's Sunday, and we're also going to see very windy conditions blowing onto the coast, and that's going to help to keep up the water just a bit as well. If you are outside, however, those temperatures are very comfortable, and this is just about as warm as they're going to get today. Thanks to the winds, that helps to keep those temperatures down slightly, but also with winds coming out of the north, we're just generally cooler, and we also have a nice drier air mass that's in place because of the air that Matthew has kind of swept in behind it. So these dew points, this is the measures really the humidity in the atmosphere. So when they get in the 70s like we've seen, it's very oppressive feeling, very tropical like, but when they get in the 50s and the 60s, you walk out and it's just very crisp air, and I like to call it good hair weather, at least, because for the next several days you're going to walk outside and it's going to be very comfortable. As far as wind speeds go, look at this. Mayport 22 miles per hour, Fernandina 20 miles per hour, St. Simons 18 miles per hour right now. So the wind going to be the story as we head into the next several days. Katie, I'll have a look at that 7-day forecast in just a bit.
Thank you, Lauren. Take a look at this massive line of cars right here. These were all people trying to wait to get back across the bridge to coastal Nassau County. So what was it like when they got there? Well, here's a look at Fernandina Beach. Zach Lashway has more.
We were very, very humbled that God spared us from a lot of devastation.
As residents of Amelia Island count their blessings.
And the sea was perfectly calm, like a lake, and the people were coming back together.
Before all can enjoy that sense of calm, many of them have a long list of chores. Philip Bird,
And that's a good boy.
and his dog Harley did not adhere to the mandatory evacuation.
From about 4 o'clock until about 9 o'clock in the evening, we stayed in the closet. The noise was what was kind of the most upsetting of all.
What was that noise like?
Just the wind blowing hard and the rain beating the side of the house.
But most of the destruction was on the north side of the island.
I've seen tropical storms do worse damage on the beach than this did.
Hurricane Matthew delivering a knockdown blow to Bosque Bello, one of the city's oldest cemeteries.
This is the most damage I've ever seen on this end. I've never seen it, and I've lived here all my life. I've never seen it get torn up like this.
Oh, that one's way too big.
While she might not have loved ones resting in Bosque Bello,
You know, some of these people, there will be no one to come and take care of their graves.
Shantom's mission
That's pretty significant to me.
is to make sure everyone is resting peacefully.
Because it was always just so beautiful and tranquil, and it's sad to see it in this kind of absolutely destroyed state.
In Fernandina Beach, Zachary Lajwe, First Coast News.
And a heads up for anyone who wants to ride on the St. Johns River Ferry. It was shut down as Hurricane Matthew headed our way. The first departure started back at 6 o'clock this morning. It takes off on the half hour as well as on the hour. A restaurant in St. Johns County is having to shut down for now because of damage from the Hurricane Matthew. Earlier this week, we showed you how Viola's Italian restaurant in Crescent Beach was preparing for the storm. Even with all of that preparation, the owners say the water damage is extensive. The water was several inches high in their kitchen, damaging walk-in coolers as well as the equipment. The restaurant now has to throw out all of its food.
So at first we were really happy and feeling good, and after we got into the restaurant, though, now I think we're just kind of in shock, and the reality is setting in of what we have to do to move forward. We're kind of at a loss for even knowing how to clean all this stuff up and what we really need to do to make sure everything's sanitized the proper way. And you know, so we're overwhelmed. I would say would be the best feeling right now, is just really overwhelmed.
And take a look at this. Watch, this is a dumpster that was behind a restaurant that was pushed by water to the front of A1A. The restaurant aims to reopen. They just don't know when yet. A popular surf shop on Jacksonville Beach planned to reopen as early as today. It's still unclear if that is happening at this point, but workers there told us there was only structural damage to the front. The team has been working together to help clean up some of that debris, and they were delighted to learn that everything inside of that store was still intact and they didn't have any water damage. Straight ahead, lots of punches being thrown between Clinton and Trump in last night's debate, where the candidates are today and how they felt about that debate.